If stepfamily life is taking up far more space in your head than it should, even on the days when nothing is actually happening, this episode is for you. Because one of the most common things stepmums say to me is this: I just can't switch off, even when everything is technically fine. And what's confusing is there may not even be an obvious problem in front of you, but your brain won't let it go. You're replaying things, analysing things, preparing for things that haven't even happened yet, and it's exhausting. So in this episode, I want to explain why stepfamily life gets into your head in this way, why it's so hard to switch off, and what actually needs to change if you want your head and your life back. Now, the first thing to understand here, this isn't happening because you're overreacting or because you're just somebody who overthinks. It's structural because stepfamily life creates a really specific kind of mental load. It's one where you don't have full control, you don't have full authority, but you are still deeply affected by what happens. And that combination keeps your brain on. It's what I call an influence gap, where there's a big gap between the things that affect you and the things that you can control. And this gap is where it gets interesting, right? Because your brain is wired to close loops. In most areas of life, you find a problem, you take an action, there's a resolution. But in stepfamily life, it doesn't work like that. A message comes in from the ex, a decision gets made about the children, something shifts that affects your home, and really you don't have full control over any of it. So the loop never closes. And when loops don't close, your brain keeps spinning. So that's why you replay conversations, you analyse messages, you think about what you should have said, you anticipate the next disruption, not because you're trying to create problems, but because your brain is trying to finish something that structurally it can't finish. Now, there's another layer underneath this that most people don't see. This is not just about logistics. It's about your place in the family, your sense of belonging, your sense of safety. Because in stepfamily life, it can feel like your position is never fully guaranteed. And my God, does your nervous system know that? So it scans. Am I included here? Am I respected here? Am I about to be undermined? Do my needs matter? And that's why even small things can sit in your head for days. Because really it's not about the thing, it's about what the thing represents. And this is the bit where a lot of stepmoms get stuck. You look at your partner and think, why on earth can he just switch off? And the answer's pretty uncomfortable, right? Because for him, this is his established role. These are his children. This is his system. For you, even if you've been together a while, it's still not your system and they're still not your children. So you are still adapting to it without full control, without full certainty. So of course your brain is more active and you're not properly present in your own life. I see this all the time with women saying to me, I'm not properly relaxed in my own home. I can't focus on my job. When I'm with my friends, I'm thinking about stepfamily life. Your relationship then becomes problem-focused and your mood is dependent on these things that are just outside your control. And over time, your world gets smaller. Often not because everything's actually awful, but because your headspace is no longer yours. So what actually helps? Because I really don't just want to leave you with, this is why your brain won't switch off. There are things that make a difference, but they might not be what you think. The first is this: you have to start noticing when your brain has gone into the loop. Not fixing it, not solving it, just noticing. Tell yourself, I'm in it again. Because right now you're inside it, believing everything it's telling you. So try and step out and notice it. The second is this: you have to stop trying to solve it. And I know that sounds counterintuitive. I know the women who listen to this podcast are smart, intelligent women who like to solve problems. But most of the time, there isn't actually anything to solve in this moment. There's only something to tolerate. And the more you try and solve it, the more your brain keeps spinning. The third is this. You have to start stepping out of things that aren't actually yours to carry. Not emotionally checking out, but recognizing this is not mine to manage. And in stepfamily life, that's hard because the lines are so blurred. But I want to be really honest with you here. Knowing these things is not the same as being able to do them. Because when your system is already overloaded, awareness alone doesn't switch it off. And this is exactly the point most of the women I work with are at before they come into my program, Back in Control. Not necessarily because everything is falling apart, but because they're exhausted from how much space this is taking up in their head. Back in Control is a 6-week live program for stepmoms who feel like stepfamily dynamics are taking up far too much space. It's not about fixing everyone else. It's about getting out of the overthinking loop, being steadier in yourself, and having your own head back again. If you're listening and thinking, this is exactly me, DM me the word control on Instagram or email me. I'll pop the link in the show notes and I will send you the details. We start on April 17th and there are just 5 spots remaining. And if this episode resonated with you, follow the podcast so you don't miss the next one. We'll be back next week with another new episode. Till then, take care. And before we finish, if you're listening to Stepmum Space and recognising yourself in the constant adjustment, the walking on eggshells, the anticipatory anxiety before contact, or the way one message can derail your whole week, that doesn't make you weak. It's a position many stepmums find themselves pulled into inside complex stepfamily systems, and it's more common than people realise. Back in Control is my structured program for stepmums who are ready to move out of chronic vigilance and into steadiness inside their own home. It's psychologically grounded, contained, and designed specifically for stepfamilies where dynamics feel destabilising. If you're ready for more than just insight, search Stepmum Space Back in Control and you'll find the details. Back in Control, structured support for stepmums who are done walking on eggshells and are ready to feel steady again.